All right, Mountain Warriors here, 2020 wrap-up, or
Best encounters of 2020.
best encounters of 2020 for the Mountain Warriors.
Yeah, we're going to recap some stuff that went on this year, even though we already did most of that, and give our best encounter, or at least what we think is our best encounter of 2020, because a lot of stuff happened, especially for Mountain Warriors. A lot of crazy stuff happened.
Yeah, I mean, talking about 2020 with the Mountain Warriors, it was a great year. I think we've gone over that in the previous videos and editions as far as what we got accomplished this year. We had a lot of opportunities. Feel very blessed to have the opportunities we had this summer. Like I said, we've been doing this for some years. I've been doing this way before that, before we created Mountain Warriors. And the opportunities we got, especially this summer, were many more than what we've had in the past. So we took advantage of that, did trails, exploring, and definitely hit the waterways a lot more this year. A lot of swimming and creek exploring that we have not been able to do as much in the past.
For last year, we did a best encounter of the year. We're going to get Jake's opinion on what his best animal encounter was of 2020.
All right, talking about 2020, I mean, it's really, there's a couple big ones here. Kenny's going to cover one, I'm going to cover one, Jake may step in, and we may even have Mrs. Martin, my wife, come in for a little bit. If Megan was here, she would have something to say, I think. But I'm going to go with, out of all we've done, and we've seen a lot of wildlife in the Smokies. But as far as swimming goes, we get to definitely see a lot of the world and nature that a lot of people don't get to experience. You know, maybe a lot of people that swim, but as far as the diving that we do with goggles and GoPros, things like that, we get to see a lot of different things that we've covered in the past, but the one specifically that I'll talk about right now was a certain hole that we swam in that had a kind of a bad attitude, bad-natured smallmouth bass. This bass, basically with us swimming in there, I guess it was his territory. Don't know if there was some kind of it was in a mating season, spawning season, whatever it may be for fish, but this bass, smallmouth bass, definitely had a bad attitude that day. And basically, soon after we started swimming, I was actually taking some footage in a pretty deep hole, about 8 to 12 feet deep, and he just kind of lunged at my camera. And quite honestly, in the years we've done this, I don't remember ever in these creekways having any kind of a fish make any kind of an aggressive movement towards us. We've had some that have hung around us, not minded we were there. Obviously, a lot of them swim away pretty fast, you know, a little weary of what we're doing and who we are. But this smallmouth bass for sure had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He was probably about 12 to 15 inches long, which is pretty good size for a smallmouth bass, especially in a creek setting like that. And like I said, he must have felt threatened. And I think the minute he went after me and I dodged away and kind of flinched, to be honest with you, I admit it. The Mountain Warriors, I think we do a lot of things and we try to be tough, but
that motherfucker!
This smallmouth bass definitely took it to us a little bit. He then spent the next half hour as we were swimming basically chasing us around the hole, chasing me out of one end, and then going back and finding Kenny where he was and chasing him out of the hole. Kenny actually had a cut on his ankle from him that I think he showed in a previous video. We may have a little picture of it here. But it was funny, but it was also I'll say alarming. It's not that we felt threatened with our lives, but it was definitely something in nature that I guess proves the point. When you're in nature, you want to respect it. You always want to try to be good to it. And the bottom line is, it's something that you can't take for granted, or you always want to keep, you know, paying attention to what's going on. Typically, I would have thought that would have been watching for bears or bees, but now swimming in holes, for what it's worth, this smallmouth bass did some crazy things that, like I said, we have video proof of, and it was definitely, I will go with that as my 2020 animal encounter for this year.
Definitely a crazy encounter. Usually the fish are always swimming away. We can barely get close to them at all, and that one was actually tacking towards us, which is definitely a crazy moment. Most years, I would be able to say that was the craziest moment, but we did have an encounter with a bear. We were starting the trail, a minute onto the trail. We obviously posted this video. I look around the corner and see the bear coming right down the trail. So you instantly tell me to, I was about to run because we had like the corner, we had some room, and you tell me to put the camera down. So I set it up on the branch, comes down, picks up the camera, the same phone we're filming with right now, and picks it up and turns it off because he bit down on the off button. And that was definitely a crazy moment that the bear actually, we just wanted to get some footage of him walking by, but he actually picked up the camera, turned it off, and we got some footage of him after that, and then dropped it. Unfortunately, it's really cool he picked it up. I wish it would have stayed on, but he bit the off button. I really wish he would have not done that. Then we could have seen him actually carry it and drop it. I think we got most of it on film. I don't think he had it in his mouth very long because he realized it was not edible. But that was definitely a crazy moment and easily the best footage we've ever gotten ourselves of a black bear.
Now, to piggyback on that for Kenny, that definitely was one of the ones that was up there for me as well with the bear encounters. I think my little tidbit to that is, you know, the bear, we were just looking to film him. He was actually headed right towards us. The timing luckily was off a little bit, or we would have run right into him, which is typically where bear encounters can happen. It's not that he's looking for us, but it would have been something that just happened. And I think he may have smelled the food that Kenny may have eaten for breakfast on his phone. Kenny likes bacon, so maybe that's what was on the phone
I don't know if he
at
ate
that
bacon
time.
that day.
And quite honestly, a bear's smelling sense and taste sense really good. And obviously he picked up on something, but then figured out, like I said, that it was a phone. Luckily, it wasn't a bigger bear that might have swallowed that phone.
Well, speaking of a bigger bear, that segues into the next segment, which is going to be Jake's craziest encounter. He's going to step in.
So just to give my quick best animal encounter of 2020 here in Mountain Warriors has to be, without a doubt, the situation when we were actually recording a movie review for my brother's other channel, Movie Mania. If you check that channel out, there's this huge black bear. Well, first off, the entire video, I kept looking to my left, or I guess my right, which is where the woods were right there, and it's actually exactly where the fence ended. And this trip, we had seen these two bears, really like just one bear especially, every single day and night on that same little pathway. And I thought for sure he would never come out if we were down there doing a video like that. But I looked over finally at the end, and a black bear, a huge one, was looking me right in the eye, probably about this close to my face.
Oh my God, there's a bear right behind us.
Yeah, it went back in the woods.
With a fence in between us, not a very big fence, by the way, and he was just right there, and that's all I saw was his entire body, and his face was looking me right in the eyes, and just to see that right there was pretty intimidating. And luckily, I jumped so fast and got you guys to move too that he turned around and booked it like really fast as well. Because by the time I turned around, all I saw was his back, his rear end going into the woods, and the branches like breaking pretty fast. So that, without a doubt, has to be the biggest, my favorite animal encounter from this past year. And yeah, hopefully I'll never see a bear that close in my life. At least, I don't know, unless it's like at a zoo or something. But it was definitely a crazy moment. And I just wish I had like a GoPro strapped to my head at the time so you could see exactly how close he was. But still, a very, very crazy moment there. And yeah, that's definitely my favorite moment of 2020.
This is Jake, my oldest son. He's also part of Mountain Warriors when he can be. He's got UK reactions as far as what he does. You might want to check that out as well. But the part he's talking about, his encounter, definitely I was there as well. Kenny was there. And it was definitely one that caught us by surprise. And it was also something, you know, a note, the creek water was near where we were filming this. So obviously that's why we didn't hear him. And honestly, he didn't hear us. I happened to be midstream as far as what I was talking about on the review itself. So when Jake jumped, it definitely was just got us, you know, discombobulated, if that's the right word for it. And quite honestly, when you're in nature and situations like that, you want to try to maintain your composure as best you can. And obviously we lost it on that one.
If it was a grizzly bear, I probably would have chased us, I would assume, but
Maybe.
it wasn't really aggressive at the time. He was just standing there, like he was probably honestly. If I didn't turn around, he probably would have just walked right behind us and went into his normal path to find whatever food he looks for.
Yeah, definitely. He wasn't really looking for us or paying attention to us. It just happened to be something that, you know, he, like Jake said, at that time in the summer too, the vegetation is very thick. So he came up through some kudzu, I believe, that had overgrown some rock area. And once he came up, it was kind of like he was there. And as we scared him away, he ran down the creek, like Jake said, and I think we then finished up the review. But a 2020 moment that I'm going to have her explain that she was a part of with me and Kenny is Mountain Warriors is not just in the mountains. We obviously in Gatlinburg, that's already a part of the mountains. So you have all kinds of things around you going on, and I wanted her to elaborate on the bees, the wood bees that we ran into on that one trip.
Well, the wood bees were the most fun animal encounter. We stayed out on the balcony. They were I don't know how many inches long, but these wood bees would just hover and they would get right in front of our faces, and they were very gentle. They didn't attack or sting, and they actually became a very fun part of our vacation. We would sit out on the balcony and we'd watch the wood bees, and they would hover right in front of us. I even did a Zoom meeting for work, and the wood bees got into the camera of the Zoom meeting, so they were very fun.
Yeah, they're like a bumblebee to me. They're little furry little guys, black and yellow. And typically, my youngest kids were afraid of these, and because they can be a little intimidating when they're buzzing in your ear. But they really did. They're a different type of bumblebee. They really seem to like us. They were very inquisitive of us being there. They do a lot of work into the woodwork of the building, which I don't think is probably good. But they do a lot of. You can hear them buzzing, digging, and they chew that stuff out. From what I've heard, they don't necessarily look to sting you. I'm sure if you grab them, they may do something. But they were very calming, to be honest with you, as we sat out on the balcony, which was nice with the weather. And like she said, they could be from me to where my hand is, just sitting there watching us. So it was I thought it was one of the neater experiences outside the mountains, and definitely I hope something we can run into in the future again.
But my favorite animal experience was we watched a crane snatch a fish right out of the water. So we were in downtown Gatlinburg, and we would always stand at the bridge and look down at the fish and say, "Oh, do you see that fish? Do you see that fish?" And there was a big trout just hiding behind this rock in the current, and we were just sitting there looking at it, and out of nowhere, a huge crane lands and stands right on this rock, looks down at the fish, and then plucks it out of the water and swallows it whole. It was like crazy.
It was pretty impressive.
It was pretty neat to see.
I agree. That was a good one.
So that was mine.
I just wanted to talk again about that smallmouth bass.
Oh my God.
We repeatedly didn't know what it was at first. I should have, because I fished for those when I was a kid. But this was different than just a fish going. I mean, he definitely went rogue. And the bottom line was he just wasn't worried about the moment of like being surprised. He really did take on an attitude from there. And for what it's worth, we weren't looking to harm him by any means. We understand it's his environment. But there is video that we have that showed that he had a little bit more of a demeanor than just being a regular fish. I mean, he actually hid out in spots looking for us. He purposely went from one point with Kenny and went at least 30 to 40 yards to me, where I was on the other end of the creek, just to pay attention to me and keep us both out of whatever his territory was. So I really do believe, for what it's worth, that was a more interesting encounter than most. And definitely something I think you should check out. As far as 2020 goes, that's some of our best encounters. Believe me, there were plenty of others. Some of the more simple things that you run into in the mountains, and doing what we do is honestly things that maybe can't describe as well. We don't have video of, but there is just plenty of nature things to see and experience. And once again, as mountain warriors, we're learning as we go. We will continue to do that the rest of our lives.
Yeah, we can always do specific breakdowns for the videos as well. If there's one in particular, we did that in the past, where, we could just break down the bass one alone. But this is just the best encounters. We each gave our best encounter. There's a lot of crazy ones, and even though 2020 was pretty bad, this was definitely a bright spot, all the crazy stuff that happened in Mountain Warriors.
I agree with what Kenny said. The tough times of 2020 gave us a few more opportunities, and we took advantage of it and really enjoyed it. So we hope everyone has had the best 2020 they can. We're looking forward to a great 2021. Yeah, I definitely appreciate what we do together and as a family. Kenny and my other son, they spend a lot of time editing these things and doing a lot of good things, not only for our site, but whatever viewers are out there enjoying this. But 2021 will bring some more trips, hopefully some good encounters with nature. I know I'm looking forward to it. And we will be back, hopefully making even better encounters and videos for 2021. Mountain Warriors out.